itself. We're done with the scrotum. We have talked about what is the scrotum and all that. Now let's talk about the testis itself. This is structure which I've kind of cut it off like that one. This one, it is your whole testis. So the testis is actually nothing that is not that much difficult. It's very easy, right? So what if somebody asking you about the testis and all the structure lie within it, remember, when you're talking about this testis, you must say it's actually a firm, like it's attached, firm and mobile organ lying within the scrotum, right? So remember one thing more, that your left testis actually usually lies at a lower level than your right testis. So right testis is a little bit above and the left testis is a little bit down, because each testis, and one thing more, that each testis is surrounded by a fibrous capsule, which I've talked about earlier. Is this one we call the tunica albuginea. So this tunica albuginea kind of is a fibrous tissue which kind of surrounds your testis, and extending from, and this actually what we call the tunica albuginea, right? We talked about it. Now let's talk about the one structure more. So if we go further, we see these separated structures. We like separated structures, forms, or you can compartments. We call them lobules. So these lobules, each lobule contains the seminiferous tubule. It could be 1 in number, 2 in number, and 3 in number. So these seminiferous tubule kind of form a network channel and kind of end up in these small tubules or tubes. We call them the rete testis. And this further goes above and end up into the efferent ductules. So this is going to end up into the efferent ductules, and which connect actually your epididymis to this and rete testis together, your efferent ductules, and from epididymis it is going upward and following the path of the spermatic cord and going to end up in your urethra. All right, now let's talk about something else. Now let's get further. So if there's one thing more in the concept of testis, that is the maintenance of temperature. Like we know that the temperature of your testis is lower than your abdominal temperature or your body temperature, kind of 3 Celsius lower than that. So why it happens? We know that it's because our normal spermatogenesis, it's the biggest reason. Your normal spermatogenesis can only occur if testes are at temperature lower than that of the abdominal cavity. That should be below 3 Celsius, right? And how it happens, how the temperature is actually maintained, it's because of these two guys we have already talked about. Is in a spermatic cord. It's because of your testicular artery and your pampiniform plexus. So pampiniform plexus, we have talked about it. It's a meshwork of your veins, and because we know the artery brings the warm blood and the veins have the cold blood. So vein is taking above the cold blood above, and the artery bringing the warm blood. So that's why they exchange the blood with each other. Kind of over here, kind of exchange. It's kind of exchange the heat with each other, and keeping the structure warmer inside. Colder inside of the in the testis. So kind of change the heat, and that's why maintaining the temperature, right? Alright, so this is the last part. In this section we're actually going to talk about the epididymis. So epididymis is actually this, we haven't made it that much clear, but this is your epididymis. Remember this one? So this is actually a firm structure that actually lies posteriorly to the testis. You can see it here, but it actually lies posteriorly. And the vas differens actually lies medial to it. So vas differens is medial to epididymis. And this epididymis has the head, tail. I haven't made the tail clear, but it has a head, tail, and a body. There is one other structure which is called the sinus of epididymis. So this area we call it, I want to write it down. So this area we call it the sinus of epididymis. What is sinus of epididymis? So it is actually a distinct groove, nothing else. It's just a groove which actually lies between your testis and epididymis laterally. Medially we have the vas deferens. Laterally this groove which is between the epididymis and the testis is called the sinus of epididymis. And in this groove, a structure, you can say visceral layer of the tunica vaginalis is kind of entering into it. All right, so now let's move further. We know that the epididymis itself is actually a coiled tube which is 6 meter long. Remember this one, the epididymis is actually the 6 meter long in length, and this tube, again, as it goes forward, and it actually emerges from testipod of epididymis, from the tail part of the epididymis. This is going to emerge with the vas deferens, which actually enters the spermatic cord, and spermatic cord kind of take it upward, and that's it. Epididymis connect with the spermatic cord, and it goes further on. Now let's talk about the blood supply of the testis and epididymis. Remember this one, the blood supply of testis and epididymis is, if you are talking about the vein, we know that it is the vein supply is the pampiniform plexus, right? So pampiniform plexus is only the venous drainage where it occurs, and for the arterial supply, we know this is the testicular artery, which is the branch of abdominal aorta, right? Testicular artery, branch of the abdominal aorta. And for the lymphatic drainage, we know it's the para-aortic lymphatic drainage. So that's it regarding testis and all the topic of scrotum, testis and epididymis. I make sure we made the topic very much easy. Please make sure to watch our other videos and keep visiting Tigers Schooling.